welcome to The Burnout, the show where we tackle the problems in education one solution at a time. I'm your host, Kendria Johnson, and we look forward to helping you beat the burnout. And welcome to another episode of The Burnout. I am your host, Miss Kendria Johnson. I am your teacher coach. I make good teachers great by bringing them out of burnout back into a balanced life. And on today's episode, I have a Miss Tanya Martha Segura, and she is a certified critical nurse. Okay, and then she's transitioning, and she'll tell her story in a minute. But she's transitioning into a health coach. And before I introduce her and let her introduce herself, this show, as you know, is about teaching and stress and what it does to the human body. And I wanted her on my show specifically to talk about the health risk, the health benefits of taking care of yourself, and, whose responsibility is it to take care of yourself and to educate yourself about your health. So welcome, Miss Tanya. I can't wait for you to share what you know and show your expertise. Welcome. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Kendria. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm
No worries.
super excited to be here. So, like you said, I'm transitioning to a health coach, but I've been a nurse for 15 years and I've worked in critical care the whole time. I've also done education for nursing students and new grad nurses. So the big thing for me with life, right? Life can be stressful.
Yes.
And just being, no matter what your role is in life, but especially as a teacher, you have such little capacity, right, for yourself, because you're constantly giving and giving and giving, right? And so that quickly can lead to burnout. And it quickly does also for nurses. It's very similar. We also are teachers, right?
I agree. You're absolutely right.
I have firsthand experienced the ailments from stress.
Wow,
I was
tell us.
actually diagnosed. Oh, yeah. I was actually diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome.
Wow.
When I had my second baby or my first baby or both. I don't remember. But that I kept going to the doctor. I kept telling her, I am sick. She said, honey, you are not sick. You are tired. And I was like, she don't know what she's talking about. But she said, I want you to start going to bed and getting 10 hours of sleep a night. And so I took her advice because she wouldn't give me antibiotics anymore. I kept getting antibiotics and it was not helping. And I was just like, oh my gosh, why do I keep getting sick? I wasn't sleeping and I was really, really stressed out. I was stressed out taking care of a new baby. I was stressed out transitioning to a mom. I was stressed out transitioning away from working and being at work as a mom 24/7. So I was constantly getting sinus infections and I was just generally feeling ill. So I started going to sleep at 8 p.m. and waking up at 6 or 7 a.m. And after 2 weeks of that, I felt back to normal. So to delve deeper into what stress does to our body, it keeps us in a constant state of inflammation. And we're constantly in the fight or flight response. So the fight or flight response is supposed to be when you're in a life or death situation. You should not be running at that level at all times. So it's increasing your blood pressure, it's increasing your blood sugar. It has you constantly on pins and needles. So your inflammatory response in your body naturally increases your white blood cell count, and it's constantly hyperactive. So if your body is constantly thinking that it's going to be sick or it's going to be hurt, you're basically constantly boiling, right? If you think of a pot of water, you're constantly boiling. So your body can't fight off just that average cold. And you also, big thing for me is cancer prevention. It can't fight off the cancer cells. So everybody has cancer cells in their body. And when your immune system is in tip-top shape, it very easily keeps those cells dormant and at bay. So you hopefully, and God forbid, you don't get cancer. when that stress is beating up your immune system. So other things that your immune response does in correlation with inflammation. So inflammation is pretty much the basis of all diseases, autoimmune diseases, arthritis, a cold, cancer, anything, any kind of infection. So if you can keep your stress level lower and follow some kind of anti-inflammatory diet and practices like yoga, meditation, somewhere to relieve your stress and get it out, you're going to just generally be healthier.
Wow, you are speaking my language. Now, my listeners kind of know my story a little bit, so I'm going to let you in on some of it. All the things that you're saying, I didn't have the language for. Okay. And what was happening for me as a teacher is I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick. I was always going to the doctor for something. And it was my immune system, exactly what you said, the inflammation, the sleepless nights, the hair loss, I had insomnia really bad and I had to take a pill to go to sleep. And then they would give me a pill. She gave me some Ambien to go to sleep. But then I was, listless throughout the day. So then I have to take a pill to get back up. What is that doing to my heart? I couldn't imagine now. I'm thinking now, what was that doing to my heart? What was it doing to the systems in my body? I couldn't, child, it was a mess.
Well, it's really going to impact. First of all, they got a pill for anything and everything.
They do.
They have a pill to go to sleep, to wake up, to be happy, to be sad. Yeah. We have a pill for everything. And medicine works when it's used appropriately. But here's the thing. Your body has the power to heal itself in most cases. Yeah. So the best thing to do is take care of it and prevent the need for medication. Right. Especially like cholesterol pills, blood pressure pills. Yeah. Medication for diabetes. Diabetes is actually an inflammatory disease in a lot of ways. And people don't think of it that way. Sugar causes inflammation in your body. Yeah. So back to the medication. So medication is not natural in most cases. So it creates byproducts. Yeah. That stimulates your immune system. That increases inflammation. Taking sleeping pills also interferes with your circadian rhythm. It does. It does, 100%. And I mean, and I understand I used to work 3 jobs at one time. I was working 6 to 7 12-hour shifts a week. Wow. And I had different commitments at different hospitals and why I was doing it. I thought I was doing the best thing for my career. And one day I was like, I'm done. I'm so done. Yeah. I told my boss, she's like, oh, you clocked in 1 minute late. I said, I'm done. Yeah. I'm done. You can keep your clock. I'm done.
Are you listening to this, teachers? Does this not sound familiar? Because that's happening all over America and all over the world. Teachers are just clocking in and like, I'm done. I'm done. Right. And we talk about on another show, Miss Tanya, you'll see it when you watch some of these back to back, but we just talked about last week about, I don't care what they pay me. It didn't matter what they paid me. It didn't matter. You're saying 3 jobs. I worked 2 and I was making the money. It wasn't worth it. My health is just way more important. My mental health was more important at the time, emotional health. I want you to tell us, we had a really brief conversation before we started this taping. And I want you to talk about your story. I want you to tell your story. Then I'll circle back to why that's important to this episode. Tell us why you do what you do. Why do you want to become a health coach and advocate for the health benefits and taking care of yourself?
So like I said, I've been a nurse for 15 years. I've seen so many things happen in the hospital. I've seen good things and I've seen bad things and I've seen good outcomes and I've seen poor outcomes. I think the worst outcome I have ever seen, because it was personal, was for my mom and for my brother. Yeah. They both passed from cancer. They both followed what the doctor's recommendations were. And I cannot tell you how much I pleaded with my mother to try something else before going with the doctor's recommendation. Or doing some kind of conjunctive therapy with the doctor's recommendation. So basically, my brother and my mom both had surgery. They had cancer in their abdominal area. My brother had it in his stomach. My mom had it in her uterus. She had her uterus removed, which caused a bowel perforation that was left undetected, despite my clinical skills to clearly detect it and constant requests for further imaging when it was pretty obvious she was having a bowel perforation. Long story short, that bowel perforation turned into a disaster. So from diagnosis to death, my mom had only 10 months. And here's the thing. She only was 1 year out of retirement. And she was a nurse. And so it kind of hit different. I felt like she deserved better care.
Yeah.
So she made decisions based on her education. She was an educated woman. And the standard in this generation of my mom was to follow the doctor's orders.
Yeah.
And a lot of people still go by that. And that's great. But let me tell you, doctors are heavily impacted right now. The population we're overpopulated. The whole world is overpopulated. Doctors have stacks and stacks of patient charts to get through. They can't necessarily always give you everything you need. So the best thing to do is educate yourself and do not make fear-based decisions. They are going to tell you, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, you might die. And they might be right. But guess what? There might be 4 other options than what they're telling you. So I'm just saying, make an educated decision. Don't make a fear-based decision. If you get a diagnosis today, waiting 24 to 48 hours to do some research, maybe talk to another expert that is not necessarily a medical expert, but maybe a naturopathic physician or a functional medicine doctor. They might have another option for you. So educate yourself, and then more importantly, prevent these things from happening. Essentially, living a healthy lifestyle with an anti-inflammatory diet and having some balance in your life is going to keep you out of these circumstances in most cases.
I totally agree. Miss Tanya, the reason why I had you tell that story is because I want my listeners to hear this, because I've said it before. You do all of these things for other people. And we take care of so many other people, nurses and teachers included, and other professions. We don't leave them out, but this is my forte. We do all these things for other people, and you could be dead in 10 months, and they're going to replace you at that job. You have to take care of you. It is your entire responsibility, teachers, nurses, doctors, whoever's listening. It is your responsibility 100% to be in tune with who you are, your body, to go to the doctor, if you don't like that diagnosis, like she said, find another one, get you some spiritual healing, whatever it is that you need to do to take care of you. It is your responsibility to do that, because I've said many times before that, when I was going through all these things and my hair was falling, all that stuff, and I just looked, just like you said, I was like, I'm done with this. It's about me now. The first commandment is first do me no harm. I am the first, because I can get another job, can't get another me. Right. And so
gonna live for 10 more months. She could have done it. She was having symptoms from the uterine cancer for at least 6 to 8 months. So I told her, I said, Mom, you've already been having these symptoms, it was vaginal bleeding, on and off light spotting in her late 60s. So I told her, it's encapsulated. The chances of it spreading at that time were on the lower side. And maybe had she not had surgery, maybe we could have done a month trip. Maybe we could have went on a cruise. Maybe, you know what I mean? We could have done something she loved where she was still able to eat and drink and not suffering from chemo and surgery complications.
And what I'm hearing from you is time. Time is that most important, precious commodity. And you don't want to waste it, ladies and gentlemen, who's listening to this podcast. You don't want to waste it. doing things and not spending time with people that you love and people that you care about. I will not be looking on my deathbed, no matter how many years God gives me. I will not be looking back saying, I wish I had spent more time at school. Man, I should have spent more time at work, giving out those tests and
Right.
grading papers. No one's going to do that. So if we've learned nothing else from this podcast this evening in this episode, make sure that you take care of yourself and advocate for yourself. Now, before we wrap up,
Prioritize yourself.
prioritize you. I agree. Before we wrap up, is there anything you want to share about anything that's coming up? Do you have any books that you wanted to share about, or if you have any dates or your contact information? How can people get in contact with you in case they're in your area and want a health coach?
You can find me on, you don't need to be in my area. We can do it online. But you can find me on Facebook, the Restorative RN, Tanya Martha Segura. Just look up the Restorative RN or facebook.com/Tanya.Martha. And I'm also on LinkedIn. Same name, same face.
Well, thank you so much.
I have a Facebook group. You're all welcome to join.
And I will make sure we plug all of that with this episode. All of that's going to be on that. I'm going to get all that information and we'll pass it on with this episode. And that's going to do it for us. It's going to do it for us. You have any closing thoughts?
Thank you so much.
You have any closing thoughts?
Just please take care of yourself. Educate yourself and take care of yourself.
Prioritize yourself. You heard that. That's her quote, direct quote from Miss Tanya. All right. So that's going to do it for us. Now, remember, this podcast, The Burnout, we help teachers recharge their purpose, revitalize their passion, and regain their power. That's going to do it for us. Thank you so much.